Austin Price, Tennessee got a big-time wide receiver commit earlier this week in Travis Smith, or I guess it was on the weekend. Highly rated four-star prospect now comes in. I believe he's the third highest rated prospect in the class. Puts Tennessee from ninth in the SEC after the reshuffling of the rankings up to sixth in the SEC. Big-time commit for Tennessee over the weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. Top 60 player by Charles Power and on three. Just exactly what Tennessee was looking for. I mean, tall, long, runs well. I know Georgia has pushed that. He doesn't run as well down the stretch here, but he runs plenty well. And again, just a monster. I mean, he's big and long, and I think he's only going to get bigger when he gets in a weight room. I mean, and he really fills out. I think he's got a chance to be just a monster. And a super smart kid. He watched his commitment there at the high school with his family and friends in attendance. I thought he was really, really impressive. I thought him taking time to pray before he announced, I thought was really, really impressive. It's just something you don't see a 17-year-old kid do a whole lot, just, to command the room. And, again, this Kelsey Pope's been on that one for over a year, Eric, and, they really worked hard on that one. And if you go back and watch that interview I did with him coming out of his official visit, and he's just kind of looking around, he's like, man, this place, he's just taking it all in, right? I thought that was super impressive for the kid. But again, Tennessee got three really good receivers in this class. A big cycle for Kelsey Pope.
Yeah, and I think you can give an assist to Jalen Hyatt's production here too. I think what they did in 22 and what Hyatt did as a tall, long receiver is something that Travis Smith took note of when Tennessee started calling. He spoke multiple times about how much he really likes this offense, how much he thinks he's a really good fit in this offense. And I think that what he saw out of the offense is the reason he took Tennessee's phone call to begin with. And I think you go back to what they did in 22 with those wide receivers and the production that they had there. I think it was a real attention getter for Travis Smith to get Kelsey Pope in the door, to allow him in the door to go to build that relationship, to go recruit him. And this was a little bit of an old school recruitment. I mean, This was a little bit about, it was all about relationships. I'm not saying there wasn't an NIL factor there, but this one didn't have the NIL vibe that some other recruitments have out there. This was a bit more about comfort, style, relationships, and those types of things. And, he found a fit that he liked in Tennessee, and it certainly centers around Kelsey Pope.
And for the people that they love to follow recruiting, and they because On3 is such an open network, you can go read the Alabama side or the Georgia side. I'm sure you've seen, Georgia's people were saying, well, he wasn't a take. Alabama's people were saying he wasn't a take. That's half true, half not. Had he wanted to commit to Alabama coming off his official visit, they would have absolutely taken Travis Smith. But he wanted to take his visits. And so when he took his visits, a couple other receivers came in, silently committed to Alabama, like Caleb Cunningham, and all of a sudden, the deal changed for Travis Smith with Alabama. Georgia, same thing. You don't go from telling Matt, why are you here, Matt Ray? He's going to Georgia, and then a week later, all of a sudden, he's slow. You know what I mean? Like that's where it cracks me up. So again, could have went to both those schools, but he wanted to take his visits, let it play out, and then circumstances change because those other schools end up getting more receivers, this and that, because Travis was waiting on Tennessee. Travis' last visit was Tennessee. That's where he wanted to go.
He just looks, I know you spoke on this a little bit from his weight and height and stature and all that. He just looks exactly like what a Tennessee outside receiver, what they want in an outside receiver, right? I mean, long, tall,
yes,
room to grow, fast, explosive, can go up and get those contested 50-50 balls. Is only going to get better with hand-eye, but it's already pretty good. He just looks like he's exactly kind of how they would want to draw up an outside receiver from that standpoint. Now it's about getting here and get developed. And then who's next, AP? Obviously, you said three wide receivers.
So Christian Gass coming up on the 20th. You have Shady Hayward on the 27th. Onus Konanbani is August 15th. David Sanders is August 17th. Those are the ones that we know as of now. Jaden Perlotti doesn't know when he's going to do anything. So, I mean, it's going to happen at some point, probably before the school year starts. We don't have a firm date on it though. And then Tennessee will continue to recruit Deshaun Brame. They'll continue to recruit DeJuan Morris, who's committed to USC. And then we'll see what happens with other guys. The Shakai Mills Knight, the longer that thing drags out, maybe Tennessee comes back into that one, right? We'll see what happens with those running backs. They seem like they're going to go a longer distance. But in the short term, it's Gass this Saturday, Shady next Saturday, and then we'll see what happens with Perlotti in the month of in the month of July. And then we turn the calendar to August.
Travis Smith going to bring a friend or no?
If you were asking me if I was a betting man, I'd probably tell you that Juan Gaston goes to Georgia just because that makes sense. But Juan Gaston doesn't talk. And that's the thing I've continued to reiterate to anybody that I talk to in the recruiting world about Juan Gaston. Yeah, you think Georgia because it makes sense. 2 and 2 is 4, right? But when the kid doesn't talk, you don't know what the math equation is. So, everybody's just kind of penciling him in there based off assumptions. I do not believe Juan Gaston has told anybody anything. But again, if you said you have to choose, I would take Georgia because it does make sense. But again, when you don't talk, you can't rule anything out.
So Tennessee now to 17 commits for the class of 2025, number 6 in the SEC, number 13 in the country, and plenty more big-time targets set to come off the board here in the matter of weeks.
I mean, which is why I said on the board the other day when they were griping about rankings, let it play out. Because if you had 4-star Christian Gass, you had 4-star Shady Hayward, you had 4-star Onus Conan-Bonnie, and then if you're able to get David Sanders across the finish line, you're going to go flying up the rankings and be sitting there. Now, don't even count Perlotti, okay? Just those 4 I just talked about. That's going to send Tennessee well up into the top 10, pushing fringe top 5 with those additions. So let it play out. There's a reason they don't call the game at the end of the first quarter, right, Hubs? They play 4 quarters. Same thing in recruiting.
Well, I mean, here's this. It's about how you close. I mean, this time a year ago,
they were missing everybody.
Rolling into July, you thought that Tennessee was poised for a big month, and it just didn't happen. It never materialized. And we'll see how this thing closes out. I mean, it's about how you finish. It's not about how you start. And I think Tennessee, there's a chance that this thing plays out well for them with the way they stacked their visits late in the month because guys were willing to wait. I mean, Travis Smith's a great example. That played out really well for Tennessee because Travis Smith was committed enough to take the Tennessee visit and didn't get squeezed. He could have very easily got squeezed on the other 2 visits, and you say he never made it to Tennessee to have a chance. That was the risk. It played out well for Tennessee. It doesn't always do that, but it feels like it's playing out pretty well for Tennessee right now. We'll see how they finish out the month here.